the beginning of an adventure. Once upon a time, there was a young adventurer named Jack who lived in a small village at the foot of a great mountain. Jack loved to explore the world around him and had a fascination with the mountain that loomed over his village. Every night, as he lay in bed, he would imagine all the exciting adventures that he might have if he could only reach the top of that mountain. One day, Jack decided that he could no longer wait to explore the mountain and set off on his journey. He packed a bag with food, water, and a few essential supplies and set out early in the morning. The air was fresh and cool, and the sun was just starting to rise as he made his way towards the mountain. As he climbed higher and higher, Jack noticed that the air was becoming thinner and the landscape was changing. The lush green forests below gave way to rocky outcroppings and jagged cliffs. But Jack pressed on, determined to reach the top of the mountain. As he crested a ridge, Jack caught his first glimpse of the summit. It was still a long way off, but he could see that it was surrounded by a dense, white cloud that obscured the top from view. He smiled, knowing that this was the start of a true adventure. As Jack continued to climb, he found that the path was becoming steeper and more difficult. He had to use his hands to scramble up the rocky cliffs and cross narrow ledges. But he never lost his sense of excitement and wonder. He was determined to reach the top, no matter what. Finally, after hours of climbing, Jack reached the base of the cloud. He took a deep breath, feeling the cool mist against his skin, and stepped into the cloud. As he walked, he felt as though he was floating in a sea of mist. He could see nothing but the cloud all around him, but he could feel the ground beneath his feet. Slowly, the cloud began to clear, and Jack could see that he was standing on the summit of the mountain. The view was breathtaking, with rolling hills and valleys stretching out as far as the eye could see. Jack was filled with a sense of awe and wonder, knowing that he had accomplished something truly amazing. As he looked out over the world, Jack felt a deep sense of peace and calm wash over him. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, focusing on the rhythm of his breathing. He imagined himself becoming lighter and lighter, until he felt as though he was floating on a soft, cushy cloud. When he opened his eyes again, Jack found that he was back in his bed, snuggled under his covers. He smiled, knowing that he had just had the most incredible adventure of his life. And as he drifted off to sleep, he felt a deep sense of contentment, knowing that he was ready for anything that the world might bring. The Lost City. Jack woke up the next morning feeling refreshed and ready for his next adventure. He had been dreaming about the summit of the mountain and the incredible view that he had seen from the top. He was eager to continue his journey and explore the world around him. As he set out from the village, Jack noticed that there were strange markings on the ground. It was as if someone had carved symbols into the dirt, pointing the way towards the mountain. Jack followed the symbols, curious to see where they would lead him. As he climbed higher, the symbols grew more and more frequent, until they became a path that led him deep into the heart of the mountain. Jack soon found himself in a large, dark cavern, lit only by glowing mushrooms that grew on the walls. In the center of the cavern was a stone pedestal, upon which stood a large, golden key. Jack was filled with excitement as he approached the key. But as he reached out to take it, he heard a voice calling out to him. "Stop! Do not take the key," the voice warned. "It belongs to the lost city of Elder, and whoever takes it will unleash a great evil upon the world." Jack hesitated, but his curiosity got the better of him. He took the key and held it up to the light, marveling at its beauty. Suddenly, the ground began to shake, and the cavern filled with a bright, white light. When the light faded, Jack found himself standing in front of the entrance to the lost city of Elder. He was filled with wonder as he stepped inside, taking in the towering pillars, glittering gold, and sparkling gems that surrounded him. But as he explored the city, Jack noticed that there was something strange about the place. The walls were etched with symbols that he did not recognize, and the air was thick with an eerie, otherworldly energy. Just as Jack was about to turn back, he heard a voice calling out to him from deep within the city. It was a voice that he had heard before, the voice that had warned him about the key. "Jack, come quickly," the voice urged. "There is something that you must see." Jack followed the voice, eager to see what was waiting for him. But as he entered a large, central chamber, he was horrified to see that the source of the voice was a dark, twisted creature that had taken the form of a beautiful woman. The creature revealed that she had been imprisoned in the lost city for centuries. But with the key, she had regained her power. She was now free to unleash her wrath upon the world, and she was eager to make Jack her first victim. With a wicked grin, the creature stepped forward, ready to claim her prize. Jack was terrified, but he knew that he had to act fast if he was going to save the world from the evil that was about to be unleashed. What will happen to Jack as he confronts the twisted creature in the lost city of Elder? Will he be able to defeat her and save the world from her wrath? Jack was determined to stop the evil creature from unleashing her wrath upon the world. But he was no match for her powerful magic. As she advanced towards him, he stumbled backwards, searching for a weapon to defend himself. Jack's hand brushed against a glowing gem that was embedded in the wall. As soon as he touched it, he felt a surge of energy coursing through his veins. He raised his hand, and a bright beam of light shot out, striking the creature and sending her flying across the room. The creature was momentarily stunned, and Jack seized the opportunity to attack. He summoned all of the energy that he had gained from the gem, and focused it into a single, powerful blast. The creature was thrown back against the wall, and she let out a blood-curdling scream as she disappeared into thin air. With the creature defeated, Jack took a moment to catch his breath. He looked around the chamber, and he was amazed to see that the walls were covered in symbols that he now recognized. They were the same symbols that had led him to the lost city. And he realized that they were a map to a great treasure that lay hidden in the heart of the mountain. Excited by the prospect of discovering the treasure, Jack set out to explore the rest of the lost city. He found rooms filled with gold and jewels, and he marveled at the incredible artifacts and relics that he discovered. But just as he was about to leave the lost city and head back to the village, he heard a voice calling out to him. It was the voice of the creature that he had defeated, and she was back for revenge. "You may have defeated me once, Jack," she warned, "but I will be back, stronger and more powerful than ever before. And when I return, I will claim the treasure for myself and use it to conquer the world." Jack knew that he had to act fast. He gathered all of the treasure that he could carry and made his way back to the village, where he sought the help of the wise old sage who lived in the mountains. The sage listened to Jack's story, and he told him that the only way to defeat the creature for good was to find the source of her power and destroy it. Jack set out once again, determined to find the source of the creature's magic and put an end to her evil once and for all. As he journeyed deeper into the mountain, Jack encountered many challenges and obstacles, but he never lost sight of his goal. He fought his way through caves filled with danger, climbed over mountains of ice and snow, and crossed rivers of fire. At last, Jack reached the heart of the mountain, where he discovered a dark, foreboding temple. He entered the temple, and he was confronted by the source of the creature's magic, a large, glowing gem that was protected by a powerful spell. Jack was no match for the spell, but he refused to give up. He summoned all of the energy that he had gained from the gems that he had collected along the way, and he focused it into a single, powerful blast. The spell was broken, and the gem shattered into a million pieces, destroying the creature's magic and freeing the world from her grasp. With the creature defeated and the treasure secured, Jack returned to the village a hero. The people celebrated his victory, and he was honored with a feast in his honor. From that day forward, Jack lived a life filled with adventure and excitement, always seeking out new challenges and exploring the world. Love in the next adventure. As Jack settled into his newfound fame and fortune, he longed for another adventure. So, he set out once again, this time searching for a new challenge to conquer. As he journeyed through the forest, he stumbled upon a small village that was being terrorized by a mysterious monster. Determined to help the villagers, Jack decided to track down the monster and put an end to its reign of terror. He spent many days and nights tracking the beast, and he finally discovered its lair deep within the forest. As Jack prepared to face the monster, he was approached by a beautiful young woman who introduced herself as Ella. She told Jack that she was a skilled hunter and offered to help him defeat the beast. Jack was skeptical at first, but he quickly realized that Ella was not only brave, but also incredibly skilled with a bow and arrow. Together, Jack and Ella defeated the monster and saved the village. As they celebrated their victory, Jack and Ella found themselves drawn to each other. They spent many days and nights exploring the forest and talking about their adventures. As they continued their journey together, Jack and Ella discovered that they had much in common. They both loved adventure and exploring new lands, and they were both brave and determined. And as they continued to travel together, their feelings for each other grew stronger with each passing day. Finally, as they reached the summit of a tall mountain, Jack took Ella's hand and confessed his love for her. To his surprise and delight, Ella felt the same way, and they shared a passionate kiss as they gazed out at the breathtaking view. From that day forward, Jack and Ella were inseparable. They continued to explore the world together, seeking out new adventures and facing new challenges. And as they journeyed on, they were always by each other's side, bound together by the love that they had found in their adventures. The return of the beast. Years passed, and Jack and Ella lived happily ever after, raising a family and continuing their adventures together. But one day, they received word that the monster they had defeated years ago had returned and was terrorizing the village once again. Without hesitation, Jack and Ella gathered their weapons and set out to face the beast once more. They traveled through the forest and arrived at the village, where they found that the monster was even more powerful than it had been before. Despite the danger, Jack and Ella refused to back down. They worked together, using all of their skills and cunning to defeat the beast and save the village once again. But as they emerged from the forest, Jack and Ella realized that this was only the beginning. For they soon learned that there was a powerful sorceress behind the beast, who was seeking to conquer the world and enslave all who lived in it. Determined to stop the sorceress and save the world, Jack and Ella set out on their greatest adventure yet. They journeyed through treacherous lands and battled fierce enemies, always pushing forward towards their goal. At last, they reached the sorceress' stronghold, where they engaged her in a fierce battle. The sorceress was powerful, but Jack and Ella were relentless, and in the end, they emerged victorious. And so, our story continues. Jack and Ella returned to their peaceful life, but they knew that their adventures were far from over. For they had defeated the sorceress, but they also knew that there were other dangers lurking in the world. waiting to be conquered. So, they kept their weapons at the ready, always prepared for the next adventure that would come their way. And as they waited, they spent their days exploring new lands, seeking out new challenges, and always looking for the next twist and turn in the road ahead. The legacy lives on. Years passed, and Jack and Ella lived long, full lives filled with adventure and excitement. Hay inspired countless generations with their bravery and determination, and their love story became a legend that was passed down from one generation to the next. As they grew older, Jack and Ella realized that their adventures were coming to an end, and they knew that it was time for them to pass on their legacy to the next generation. They gathered their children and grandchildren around them, and they told them the story of all of their adventures, from the defeat of the monster to their battle against the sorceress. And as they spoke, they instilled in their children and grandchildren the same love of adventure and bravery that they had carried throughout their own lives. They told them that their legacy would live on, that their adventures would continue through their children and their children's children. And with that, Jack and Ella closed their eyes for the final time, their spirits soaring off into the great unknown, ready for their next adventure. But even as they passed on, their legacy lived on. For their children and grandchildren continued to seek out new adventures, inspired by the love and bravery of Jack and Ella. And as the generations passed, their story was passed down from one generation to the next, inspiring new generations of adventurers to seek out their own love and happiness, and to never give up on their dreams. And so, our story comes to its final close, but the legacy of Jack and Ella lives on, inspiring new generations to seek out their own adventures, to love deeply, and to always be brave and determined. Good night and sweet dreams.